Brad, I guess it's been a game that's been sort of talked up all week. Are these sort of the games that you haven't quite delivered in the last 18 months?
Well, I think that's probably a fair comment. I mean, in terms of the sides that are around about where we've been, we think we've been really competitive, and we've been able to fight in our own weight division, which has been reported fairly regularly in regards to our performance over the last couple of years. So I think Essendon have been a terrific side so far this year, and their form over the last month, I think we've completely disregarded, because they're a completely different side, or they're going to be a completely different side tomorrow in terms of personnel. I think they've got some really good inclusions. So we know ourselves that when you're missing some key personnel, that it can affect your side severely. So their form over the last 3 weeks is largely irrelevant, and I think they're going to be back to their best tomorrow. So we're going to have to match that. Given
they're sitting eighth, do you see this? I know mini-final gets bandied around a bit, but do you see it almost like that?
Not really. I mean, we think that our focus has been on improvement, and I think over the last 4 to 6 weeks we've started to move in that direction. So we're about continuing that theme, and if we can continue to improve and play the footy we know we're capable of, we think we can get the job done. So we're a lot more focused on the things we've been working on, rather than the result against another side that's aspiring to be where we want to be. Yeah, I think Essendon are in the same boat there. I mean, I don't think that they, we've got a lot of respect for them. We think they're a very good side, and some of the footy they've produced this year has been outstanding. But we think that you look at the sides, I think they match up fairly evenly. So I think, we respect them, but at the same time, they don't hold any great fears for us. We've just got to play the footy we know we're capable of.
Have you knocked over a team that's been in the 8 this year? Maybe not, but I'm trying to think of, you've got close a couple of times to the Coasters in Sydney, and you've...
Yeah, I mean, I think in the first half of the year the ladders are relevant. You look more at win-loss, and round one you can say, well, we were within 4 points of West Coast, but at that stage everyone rated them as the wooden spooner, not a top 4 contender. So we don't look at it that way. We just look at it in terms of our own development, our own improvement, rather than where the opposition is. But Essendon plays some good footy, and we're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
And you believe you've developed enough now this year to start being a challenger for the second half?
Oh, look, regardless of how I answer that question, the proof is going to be in our performance. So, I don't think we've improved enough to be able to challenge the top four sides yet. No, what I say will only carry enough weight when we do it. So, we're yet to do it. So there's no point talking about it. We'll just let our actions do the talking on that front.
Daniel Wells's form's obviously been very good. Hocking comes back in tomorrow. Do you expect him to go to him and then to be a pretty physical battle for Daniel tomorrow?
Yeah, but it always is. I mean, it's a bit of a myth that sides don't go after Daniel Wells. I mean, they've been doing it all year, and he's really taken his game to another level now, because he's a fairly complete midfielder. In the past, it's been a case of, can we get the ball to Daniel enough for him to be effective? But now we rely on him winning the ball as much as us getting it to him. So he'll have someone playing on him. He always does, and he's been able to rise to that challenge so far this year. And I think he's in terrific form, and he'll relish the opportunity of having Hocking or someone of that calibre go to him.
Having done it twice this year, I suppose you guys know how hard it is to back up after a trip to Perth. Is there a vulnerability then in the team that you're playing against because of that, and not to mention the fact that they have to stay extra day?
Oh, well, look, it is a challenge coming back from Perth. There's no doubt about that, and they had a pretty challenging match against Fremantle, but they've also made 5 changes. So, and Joe Watson and Hurley came in for their first game last week. So, I think in the last 2 weeks they're making about 7 changes, which is a fair chunk of their side. So, I don't think that'll be a large factor, and the fact that they've made so many changes mitigates that to a certain extent.
How do you view that? I mean, they bring pairs back. You've got Hurley back, can potentially go back there as well, but then you've got Fletcher and Booker. It's a land of the Giants back there. Is that a potential, where you can get the likes of Lindsay Thomas in there? And
yeah, oh no, I don't think so. I think Tate Pears is an extremely versatile player. We rated him very highly as a junior as well, so he can play tall or small, and I think he can play a variety of roles in defence. And Dustin Fletcher over a long period of time has played tall and small. I mean, it's nothing for Dustin Fletcher to play on a player almost a foot shorter than him. So look, I think they're versatile. Michael Hurley's just as good a forward as he is defender. So no, I don't think we can get any specific advantage there. It's going to be more of a challenge that they've got players of the quality of pairs coming back in.
So you expect Fletcher to play?
Yeah, well, he's been picked. So I mean, looked like a cork last week, and someone who's been as durable as Fletcher over the years. Yeah, we absolutely expect him to play.
How's Lockie Hansen going? He was pretty crook after the game last week.
Yeah, he's okay. I mean, like all players, you know, he thinks he's just got a headache, whereas the doctors thought it was a reasonably severe concussion, so we're not prepared to take any risks with him, and he's a really important player to us. So he's frustrated he's missing. He feels like he could play, but you know, we'd rather err on the side of caution there.
Is McIntosh still well?
No, Hamish joined in full training yesterday, so he's and he trained really well. He's got confidence back in his body, so he'll play most likely next week in the VFL, and then you know he will graduate his progression back to playing senior footy from there.
Your own defence spreads looking pretty tall with Nathan Grimer coming back in this week.
Yeah.
Do you expect all sort of 4 big guys to play down there?
Yeah, I do. We've been really keen to develop a flexible defence, and you know, my comments about pairs I think is valid to Nathan Grimer as well. You know, we think he can play as a genuine key defender, last line defender, but also you know he can take the smalls as well. You know, and Scott Thompson's that versatile type defender as well. So. You know, we've been really impressed with Luke Delaney in the games he's played since we brought him in. So he holds his spot, and that's a credit to him when we've got, you know, probably our first choice key defender in Nathan Grimer coming back.
You're not long out of the game in a playing sense. What's your take on the CBA negotiation?
I think it's like it always is. I think we're fighting for a fair share of the pie. I think all the key stakeholders in the AFL fight for their fair share, and that should be, you know, vigorous debate, and everyone's trying to get what they think is a fair and equitable arrangement. But I think that, you know, the most important thing from my point of view is that the players are the game. I mean, as coaches, we exist to try and help the players and support the players as best we can, and the footy clubs spend a lot of money and time and resources on making the players better. The AFL executive and the commission, they're there to oversee the greater good of the game and the health of the game. So I think everyone does an outstanding job in their position. So I think the money's just got to be split up evenly and fairly, and that's what the players are fighting for, and that's what they should be doing. And you know, the AFL executive are fighting to ensure the future growth of the game, and you know, the clubs are fighting to get their share so they can provide players with the best possible environment for them to be their best.
The AFL, Brad, were very happy with the substitute rule in their mid-season review. How do you see it working?
I think 11 rounds in, I think it's had its positives and negatives. So I think there have been some great examples where the fairness of the game certainly has evened up. You know, losing a player early in the game and being able to substitute someone else on has worked, you know, in our favour and in a lot of clubs' favour this year. So I think that's a big tick. You know, only 11 games in. Yeah, but I think that we're going to need further time to really tell. I think something that doesn't show up in stats and in terms of injuries and the like is, you know, I think players are being rested more often than ever. So, you know, I don't think we would have had a situation where Collingwood would send their best players overseas mid-season. You know, in the past that's never happened. And I think, you know, the sub rule and the intensity of the game and all those things are starting to take its toll on players. So that won't show up in any stat, but no doubt the introduction of the sub rule has made it a lot harder for players, and they're more fatigued, and time will tell whether that makes them more susceptible to injury or not.
Beautiful. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, guys.